polynomial long division. So let's start with some familiar polynomial division first. We're given a function, f of x, and a function, g of x. And we're asked to divide f of x by g of x. Now what we're dividing by is negative 4x squared. So this is just like we've done in the past where we're factoring that out. So I'm going to write it a little bit differently just so it's clear. Because we're dividing this whole polynomial by negative 4x squared, and again, it's the same as saying that we're factoring that out, then we have to look at each term and divide it by that monomial. So we'd have something that looks like this, f of x divided by g of x is negative 32x to the 6th divided by negative 4x squared. And then we've got negative 8x cubed divided by negative 4x squared. And then a positive 4x squared divided by negative 4x squared. So we're just taking each term of the trinomial, right? The longer polynomial, the one that we're dividing the negative 4x squared by, and we're writing it over our divisor. So now we just simplify. Negative 32 divided by negative 4 gives me 8. X to the 6th divided by x to the 2nd will leave us with x to the 4th. In the next fraction, negative 8 divided by negative 4 will give us positive 2. X cubed divided by x squared will give us just x. And in the last fraction, positive 4 divided by negative 4 is negative 1. And x squared divided by itself is just 1. So that's our answer. So the first type of division that we're doing in this lesson is familiar. It's what we've been doing. We've just been looking at it as, doing this, and then what can we pull out in front. But it's the same idea that we used when we factored out, when we're dividing by a monomial, which remember just means one term polynomial. So now before we look at dividing by more than one term, I want to bring you back to 4th grade. And in 4th grade, that's most likely where you learned how to do long division. So if you had to do 4,589 divided by 11, it would look something like this. Right? The 11 goes on the outside of the little division house, and the 4,589 goes on the inside. And you would start by looking at how many times 11 goes into 45. That goes in 4 times. 11 times 4 is 44. You would subtract, bring down the next number. 11 into 18 goes 1 time. 11 times 1 is 11. Subtract, bring down that next number. 11 into 79 goes 7 times. 11 times 7 is 77. And then you would write something like remainder 2 or something. So this is the process that we're going to use now, this same idea, same process, but we're going to do it with polynomials. So if I'm doing this one divided by this one, that means that g of x is the one that goes on the outside of my division house. And f of x is the one that goes inside. But now watch carefully what I'm about to do here, because I'm going to write it a little bit differently than it's written here. I'm going to write my 2x cubed. My next term is my x squared term. But notice I have no x term, right? It just goes straight from x squared to 15. There's no x term. But I need to have a placeholder for that x term, even though I don't have one. So I'm going to put in a 0x, and then 15. So in other words, if you start with an x cubed, then you have to have an x cubed, x squared, x to the first, and a constant term. All of the places have to have a spot. And so if you don't have a term for a certain place, then you have to put a 0 placeholder in. Okay, so now let's start dividing. So just as in the long division that we looked at from 4th grade, we've got this 2x here, and we need to know how many times it goes into 2x cubed. Well, 2x times what will give me 2x cubed? Right, times x squared. So when I write x squared, I'm going to write it above my x squared term, right here. And now, just like in 4th grade long division, I have to take this x squared term and now multiply it by 2x minus 5. So x squared times 2x will give me 2x cubed, and then x squared times negative 5 will give me negative 5x squared. And now here comes my favorite part, because you know I love it anytime I can put a rhyme in. We're going to draw the line and change the signs. And we're going to do that every time. And so now after we draw the line and we change the signs, now we're just going to add these like terms together. So this positive and this negative, gone, right? Because that just equals 0. Then I have a negative 9x squared, and I'm adding a 5x squared, right? I'm adding these like terms together each time, and that gives me a negative 4x squared. And just like in 4th grade long division, I bring down my next term. And then we do the process again. How many times does 2x go into 4x squared? Well, 2x times what will give me negative 4x squared? I would have to multiply my 2x by negative 2x to get this. So that's how many times it goes in. So negative 2x. And now I take that negative 2x and I multiply by 2x minus 5. So negative 2x times 2x is negative 4x squared. And negative 2x times negative 5 is positive 10x. Here's my favorite part. Draw the line, change the signs. Then I've got negative 4x squared and a positive 4x squared, and those cancel out. And then I have to add my like terms. I have a 0x and a negative 10x, which gives me negative 10x. We're almost there. Bring down our last term. 2x goes into negative 10x. How many times? If you're thinking negative 5, you would be right. So then I take that negative 5 and multiply it by 2x minus 5. So negative 5 times 2x is negative 10x. And negative 5 times negative 5 is positive 25. The last time I get to do my favorite part on this one, draw the line, change the signs. I'm adding my like terms together now, so these will cancel out. And then I've got a positive 15 and a negative 25. Add those together, and I get negative 10. And now instead of writing just the r with the 10, or the r with the negative 10, this is how we're going to write our remainder. We're going to add, and then we're going to put our remainder over our divisor. So we would have negative 10 over 2x minus 5. And that's it. So let's try this again. Let's do another one. Divide 2x cubed minus 9x squared by 2x minus 5. This looks almost like the last problem we just did, only we have a lot less terms in this initial polynomial. So we're going to put our 2x minus 5 on the outside again, and on the inside we'll have 2x cubed minus 9x squared. But remember, we have to go all the way down to our constant term. So here we have no x term and we have no constant term. So we need two placeholders, one for the x and one for the constant term. So 2x times what will give me 2x cubed? That would be x squared, so we write it over the x squared. Multiply this x squared times my divisor, and I get 2x cubed minus 5x squared. And of course, my favorite part is next. Draw the line, change the signs. After we do that, we're combining like terms by adding, so these will cancel. When I add my x squared terms together, I get negative 4x squared. Bring down my next term. 2x goes into negative 4x how many times? Hopefully you're thinking negative 2, because it's just like the one, negative 2x, I mean. It's just like the one we just looked at. Multiply those together to get negative 4x squared. And then negative 2x times negative 5 will give us a positive 10x. Because remember, each time you write a term up here, you have to multiply it by your divisor. And then write it here, or in the next line. All right, my favorite part, draw the line, change the signs. When I subtract, my x squared terms will, actually when I add, when I'm adding my like terms, the x squared terms cancel out. And here I have a 0 and a negative 10, so that will add together to give me negative 10x. Bring down my last term. 2x goes into negative 10x, negative 5 times. Multiply that negative 5 by my divisor. Negative 10x minus 25. Oh wait, plus 25. Draw the line, change the signs, and I get negative 25 as my remainder. So when I write my remainder, I'm going to add a negative 25 over 2x minus 5. Now you know that adding a negative is the same as subtracting. So if you want to write this in a different way, you could write x squared minus 2x minus 5 minus 25 over 2x minus 5. These both mean the same thing. You're just simplifying a little bit because you're, adding a negative is the same as subtracting. You're just replacing the two signs with one. But either answer is acceptable.